politics or stakeholders are able to come together and believe strongly, as I do, that it's one way to deal with the situation. It could be a win-win situation for everybody. And I believe that the one way it could work is, now people have been elected for 4 years. So let everybody complete the 4-year tenure for which elected. Then we can, through the doctrine of necessity, or some exponential approach, do some kind of a transition of 2 years. In which case, those who are now present occupant, like the president and the governors who are finishing their term, will then do maybe another 2 years that will end in 2017.
About the tenure debate, double or single tenure, you can be a part of the conversation. As usual, follow us at FaceUp Today or at Neotai, but you can also send your mails to faceup@channelstv.com. And we're back to the studio. Gentlemen, can the single term work? Let's begin with you.
Yeah, the single term. Yes, it can work, but, and that's a big but, how does it work when the present constitution says that is not the way to go? The present constitution, if you look at section 135, subsections 1 and 2, says the president shall vacate office, after 4 years, if he has spent 4 years in office, he has to go. 4 years certain, he has to go. Subject to section 137, subsection 1, paragraph B, that if he has not been elected twice, he could recontest. That's all. But section 135 says he should go after 4 years certain. So unless and until we amend that aspect of the Constitution, the doctrine of necessity, which the learned Vice President was talking about, cannot work. Because I knew where the learned, Deputy Senate President was coming from. He thought that since we used the doctrine of necessity during the Yaradua era, yes, is it Yaradua? Yes, during the Yaradua era, then we could also use it now, but it's not the same thing. Because the reason why why the National Assembly could use the doctrine of necessity in 2010 was because the Constitution was silent on certain important matters, like sections 144 and 145, particularly section 145, which says that if the president goes away, either on leave, sick leave, or whatever, he should send a declaration to the Senate President and the Speaker of the House of Representatives that he is away. And while he is away, the Vice President should perform his functions as acting President. Now, but then Yaradua left without that declaration. And the Constitution did not say what should happen where the president failed to make that declaration. And so the Constitution was amended. The amendment, I could read it out to you if you want.
Yeah, that was an issue of transmission.
Yes, so because before the amendment, what could they do? They were hamstrung by the silence of the Constitution on what the nation could do or should do in the absence of that declaration that he was going on leave and so on.
That's correct, so, but the Constitution is not silent on this issue of tenure. The Constitution is not silent.
Because it's not silent, yeah, so that's why this issue...
You quoted sections 135,
yes,
further on to 137,
yes,
with respect to the president,
correct,
and section 180 with respect to the governor.
Yes.
The Constitution is very robust,
yes,
on this issue of
yes,
tenure. 4 years, first term, and then you stand re-election.
Yes.
And then that standing for re-election is the crux of the matter.
Yes.
Who benefits from re-election? Somebody who has performed.
Yeah, that's right.
Yes. I mean, the electorates will now be given the opportunity, yes, to determine whether the president has done well or whether the governor has done well, yes, to be given a fresh mandate of another 4 years.
Yes.
And that is what the law has said. So if you try to change the law on that aspect, you first start with the amendment,
correct,
of those relevant sections of the Constitution.
Yes.
The amendment of which is not the problem.
Yes.
If the people generally agree to such amendment.
Yes.
But then the issue is this, I've asked that question. What do we intend to cure? Why are we running away? I mean, what is the problem anticipated or prevailing in the issue of re-election of a particular office for a second term?
Yes.
The problem, like the Senate President and Deputy Senate President said, is to cure the problem of inter and intra-party squabbles. What leads to inter and intra-party squabbles? What is the duty of INEC? What is duty of judiciary? What is duty of the police? These are institutions that handle electoral processes. When such institutions are strengthened and they do their duties as they should do, then the people don't have problems with elections. As a matter of fact, the fear of election is the beginning of political wisdom of any politician. You agree with me? Because the mere fact that a politician will go back to the electorate to seek their vote, to seek their mandate, is always at the back of the politician's mind in his first tenure. And that is why the first tenure is elected based on hope and faith in the promise the politician has given. The second tenure now is based on performance. And if you take away that election or re-election, you have shortchanged the governor or the president that has performed very well. And if you extend the tenure, although I agree with you, you said that you have problem with their number of years. But we'll come to that there.
Yes, we'll come to that. Okay, you see, the point is this.
Yes,
what
sir.
we are discussing is single tenure.
Yes.
Is that not so?
Yes, sir.
If we are discussing single tenure, now, as proposed by the learned Deputy Senate President, now,
I believe
my problem
by his committee,
by other people, by the committee, yes, but he gave voice to it.
Of course, he's the chairman of that committee.
Yes. Now, the problem I have with that is just when he talked about doing that one through the instrumentality of the doctrine of necessity. And then I said, look, using this doctrine now cannot work, because it's not the same, the situation is not the same thing as in 2010 when it was used. As at that time, the Constitution was silent on what could be done where a president omitted or neglected to send to transmit to the National Assembly that he was going away.
Yes.
Now there is an amendment contained in in subsection 2. Yes. And that's an introduction to section 145, to the effect that if the president failed to do that, to transmit to the National Assembly, then